Welcome to Hospitality 360 with myself, Ken Patel, and welcome everyone. Obviously, on this beautiful Thursday, on the first Thursday of September, and we are getting ready for the Labor Day weekend that we didn't see last year. So now we're gonna officially have a Labor Day weekend this year, and hopefully we get some great news afterwards. But on this show, I've got two famous people, one surprise and myself. So first up, WIl Slickers. I've got WIl Slickers from the Slick Talk Show, and I got Calvin Stovall from his famous, iconic presentations. Will, why don't you start off? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then Calvin can follow right after you.
For sure. Well, thank you, Ken, for having me on the show. It's nice to have the Elon Musk of hospitality with me again. Long time. But no, I'm WIl Slickers. I am the host of Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, as well as co-founder of Recreation Vacation Rentals. I actually got started in hospitality as a front desk agent with an autograph collection with Marriott. Fell in love with the industry right then and there, and I haven't looked back since. So it's been a great time. But during the last 4 years, running the podcast to then quitting my day job as a hotel manager December 27th, 2019 to go full time. And man, what a journey, but really thankful to be here and to know you guys both through this last year. It's been really great. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. Calvin?
Calvin Stovall, Chief Experience Officer with Iconic Presentations. Ken, thank you for having me on the show. Excited to be here. And I'm excited to be here with Mr. Slickers as well. So I'm looking forward to this show. And I actually, my background, I bleed hospitality, been in it for probably 25 years. Just like Will, started as a desk clerk at a Chicago City Center Holiday Inn in downtown Chicago, and pretty much have been in the hospitality industry all my life. Worked for Hilton many years, VP of brand marketing for Homewood Suites by Hilton, really helped grow that brand. Also did some nonprofit brand strategy stuff with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, also with another foundation called the Soulsville Foundation in Memphis, Tennessee. So I've been around a little bit, but just love hospitality and just really excited to be a part of it and continue to do that. But again, thank you for being. I'm so excited to be here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on board as well. I mean, this is amazing for me to have both of you on this show because I obviously was on Will's show a while ago. It seems like forever now. And, I know that's where all the Elon Musk hospitality started. So thanks, Will. Thank you for giving me all expectations now. Everybody's got so high expectations for me. So I appreciate you a lot for that.
To the moon. Here we go.
I'm going too.
And Calvin, I know we've connected really well. So I thank you both for being here. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. So why don't we get started? So the first thing is first, and I think you guys are obviously well aware of the hurricane that is just tormented our industry from the south. Now it's to the north. I mean, the chaotic things that it's done. Mrs. Never would have thought that would have happened in a million years. So, I mean, it's just kind of amazing to know what that hurricane has done there. So kind of my thing with this is, as we see what has happened with the industry because of this hurricane itself, you can see that hospitality has played a part of this hurricane. And what I mean by that is this hurricane has now made the guest what we were complaining about that the guests have been rude, have been obnoxious, and all those bad things that, for me, I mean, they had a right to be upset, but now they are so kind in the way, and it takes me to this article itself, is where the guest down in Louisiana with the they stayed at this hotel. It's the Four Points by Sheridan down in Louisiana by the French Quarters. And they had nothing but say about this hotel, where they stated that, they're so grateful they want to be back and they want to stay at this hotel and they want to be back in Louisiana. The staff was great. They were very good at what they do. They were very respectful. So I'm going to kind of take it to Will here. And what's your thought when you hear now the guests praising the hospitality that we missed for a while here?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is, like you can't experience somebody, like you have to walk a mile in somebody else's shoes to really realize what they've been going through. And I think a tragic event like a hurricane or, any kind of natural disaster where people have to work and they have to constantly adjust and shift against the odds against them. That puts a new perspective in your eyes. And so it's all about perspective, man. Like the guests, they don't see all the hard work that we put in when it comes to housekeeping and reservations not coming through on OTAs because the channel manager isn't working right, and all the other stuff that happens on little barriers that stop the hospitality experience from happening to the fullest. They don't see that, but a big event like this is pretty obvious and everyone can see that. So I think it's just a new perspective that they finally could see it. So, big shout out to everyone that's working and even just trying to recover, because it's not been the easiest year to recover from, so to be having one event after another, lockdowns to COVID to Delta variants to then a hurricane and all this other stuff. It's just a hit after a hit. And so my heart goes out to everybody there, and thankful that people are starting to see the hard work there.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with you, Will. I mean, and between all three of us, we want this industry to do well. Calvin?
Yeah, same. I'm with Will. I just think people. I mean, it's just been one thing after another. But what I particularly liked about this story, guys, was that it's almost like, and I talk about this in my keynotes all the time. If you can't focus on things that are outside of your control, and so the hurricanes and all of that, the pandemic, all of those things you really, I mean, they happen. You can't do anything about it. But what I particularly liked about this is that the hotel employees focused on the things they can, and that's creating a positive experience for those guests that were there. And, and despite all the stuff and the chaos that was going on around them, they set their sights on making sure, hey, let's make sure we take care of the people that are here. I mean, the guy in the interview said, man, they gave us sandwiches. They made us feel comfortable. I mean, those are things you can control. And when you do that, because those things, if you focus too much on stuff you can't control, it creates anxiety and stress. And we already got that to deal with. But it's great to be able to see that a hotel, those employees said, hey, let's do whatever we can to make this positive. And I think they did a great job. They represented their hotel well, but they also represented New Orleans well in Louisiana. And so the guy said, I'm coming back even after that. So I just think they made a positive impact on him. And that's the kind of stuff that's long lasting. And he'll go out and tell his friends and relatives about what happened, and then they'll come. I just think that was just a great story.
100%. And embodied the whole hospitality spirit.
Exactly. That's what it's about right there, creating positive experiences. And they did it.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I mean, the thing here is that we as an industry need to realize that the guests have to be happy. They have to be accommodated. And when we hear things as in they're so happy, they're so accommodated, then we know we did our jobs, right? And it's all about the basics. I mean, end of the day, it's all about the basics. I always say that. it's not anything special. It's just keep going on with the basics. And as long as we do that, this is what we're going to get repeatedly. Right now, I mean, one of the things I've said in my past shows is that they might not get all the amenities, and that's why they might be upset. But, fortunately, it is what it is right now. So we have to do the best we possibly can. But there's ways for us to overachieve. And I think we're going to get there. I think there's going to be a time and there's going to be a place where the industry is going to be very resilient in the way that it'll completely come back. But where it's great to hear when guests are saying this,
Yeah.
So it takes me to my next thing, a good story. And then I would say not too good of a story, good enough. And it takes me to Wyoming. Wyoming. Have you guys been to Wyoming? Have you guys either?
I've been to Jackson Hole.
Okay.
I think I've driven through it, but nothing in particular stands out to me.
Okay. All right. So this takes me. It's from the Best Western in Wyoming. I believe it's Sheridan, Wyoming. And it was very interesting to me because there was an analogy that they made that I wasn't too familiar with, but then I got it. And I was like, wow, that does make sense, right? And they're saying there's no single reason for the employee shortage in hospitality. And what they're kind of saying here is that the employees have moved on from hospitality to other sectors. And we know that, right? Like it's not about a wage. They're saying it's not about a wage. It's not about any single reason why the industry is having the worst time in its life with labor. It's been going on and it's been happening and it's been happening and it's been happening. They've said in the last 4 years, Sheridan, Wyoming has had an increase in homes in their list prices and even their sell prices by 20%, but the wages have not moved. Now, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. So if their home prices are increasing by 20%, so why aren't the wages moving? And obviously the wages are moving now, but I think it's too late.
Yeah.
And is this happening across the country? Is this the analogy that everybody needs to understand is that the real estate market, we didn't look at how the real estate market was moving compared to the wage market. I mean, I'll go to you, Calvin, first. I mean, what do you think about this? What do you think about that analogy that they were making there?
I think it is a wage. I do agree with you when you open the statement that it's not one single reason. I think there's a combination of the people that have moved on to other sectors. I think it's the work-life balance thing. I think with the wages. I think there's a combination of things. But I agree with you. The wage issue is probably a big one, and I'm a big one on culture. I believe you want to create an environment where people feel like they can thrive and there's learning and development there. I could continue to grow. And I think you got to have those things. But I really believe if you're not making money to make your basic rent or be able to just have a decent life, it's going to affect you. And I'm all about what is it, Maslow's hierarchy? If you don't meet those basic needs, it's going to affect the psychological stuff. So I'm all about, hey, look, I get it. You got to create a positive culture, but you got to pay people what they're worth. And I just think that has been an issue for a long time, and it's just caught up with the industry. And I was talking to somebody just the other day. They were saying that, hey, look, you can go drive an Amazon truck, a delivery truck, make $20 an hour. You can create your own schedule and work when you want to. So when you look at that versus what a desk clerk, I mean, it's just, you got to start thinking a little bit differently because it's so much competition these days and people have so many options. And so you just have to start thinking about what can we do to create an environment where people feel and make hospitality attractive again. And wages will play a way. It plays in that as well.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
I agree with you so much. I mean, everybody's so speculative along with numbers that say whether it's going to come back in 2024 or it's going to come back in 2023 or 2025. And I keep saying that there isn't a timeline on this, on when it's going to come back.
Nope.
I mean, we have to look at, yeah, there isn't. And, you know, I mean, what are your thoughts, Will? What are your thoughts?
Well,
Excited to this, and you know, obviously how you feel about it.
Yeah, well, I think you guys both bring up really good points, but it's not even just the real estate market that's affecting, you know, when cost of living in general is skyrocketing through the roof. And hospitality has always been, whether it's hotel, restaurant, vacation rental companies, multifamily apart hotels, you name it, it's a labor intensive job. And when wages don't add up with the amount of work that goes into it, the amount of stress and flexibility that's needed to work these jobs, you know, so long have I worked for, you know, I used to work for all these owners that would say, well, it's been like this for 20 years. We need to do an AM and PM checklist and a night audit checklist and all this stuff that, like, there's so many tasks that are handed down to an employee that could be automated through technology or could just be gone away by creating simpler systems. And we're not doing that. We're adding so many things to make tasks and simple movements happen that I think people, like you said, they moved on. They're like, you know what? I can go deliver Amazon packages for $20 an hour, put in my headphones and be to myself and have a low level stress job that pays the bills more than I ever made anywhere else. So, you know, I think as an industry, we need to drive back purpose into the jobs. You know, the people need to feel like they have a purpose in their position, not that they're there to do a checklist. Obviously, housekeeping is a different beast. We all know it's the most labor intensive department. It's the most intense department, especially with depending on room types and, you know, what type of events are there that weekend or conventions and how dirty the guests can be sometimes. But I think we need to find that passion and purpose back into the industry a little bit more, especially for the younger generation. They see that there's technology out there that is 10 years ahead of hotels and hospitality in a whole, and going backwards in a job that they feel like could definitely be pushing forward in that area. It's a little bit frustrating, to be honest. So I hope we start shifting that way and start paying people better with better tools to provide and execute good service.
Great points. Great points.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, no, well said. I mean, it's and that even takes me, I mean, I heard you say technology, so that kind of takes me to my next piece here is, and if we're not familiar with Adrift hospitality, so what they've done here, and what they've done here is they've obviously went with a technology partner to streamline their 6 boutique hotels. They chose a cloud PMS over a legacy PMS. They went with a better customer support, where they felt like this was going to drive an automated upselling with even a mobile check-in piece here. And what I say this right now, and I think both of you and probably the whole industry of hospitality knows my love for EB Human, that I've created the world's first all-in-one software in EB Human. Now, I did that for multiple and a magnitude of reasons. It's to streamline the operations, like I was on your show, Will, and we talked about this tremendously. Kevin, you and I speak about it a lot as well. Is how do we create less tasks for our employees, right? And it's now to use softwares and technology to automate processes. No longer do you want the front desk agents try to upsell your guest, and I will probably ask you guys, I'll start with you, Will, and what you think about technology and hospitality.
Well, I think technology is definitely needed, especially I think the upsell for me when I look back at my front desk days and either as a manager or as a front desk agent was the upsell was fun because if you knew when to execute on it, it was a fun conversation and interaction with the guests, and the following relationship with them was even more fun because they're like, man, that room is so good and you got it for such a good deal. Thank you so much. Yeah. And that opens up the door. But I think having that, that front and center upsell with a technology kiosk or whatever is great. My vision for, with this technology piece is that automate the processes that aren't needed and let me be available for the human experiences that are needed on site. Let the rest, let the tech take care of the stuff that can't make a human or make a guest feel at home. And that's what I want to do. So, if you could be there ready with an iPad to quickly check them in, give them a key code to get to their door, or maybe even a Bluetooth app or something simple where you don't have to wait in line to get a key and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then you can focus on, hey, I know the greatest breakfast spot. And I think from what I heard your wife say over there to your daughter, that you guys want a great place for brunch. Well, let me go tell you about Patty's. And then you are now able to really just capture that experience rather than staring at a computer screen like this and going, first and last name, debit and credit card. Oh, you want a corner suite?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Exactly. Like that's like the total worst experience. And technology, yeah. So like for me, I totally envision kind of like that Verizon wireless experience, right? Like you walk in, they got a quick iPad or something quick, simple, and they're there to be friendly and take care of you. That's what technology is supposed to do, not add a barrier to confusing everything. So yeah.
I mean, I think what. I'm sorry, Ken. Calvin. You were. Yeah, no.
I was saying technology is like a ball and chain.
Yeah, I mean, the thing. Even like as Will was even saying about Verizon, it just I just had to add this in. I'm like, my hotel brand EV, that is brand new. It's only a month old. We have no front desk. It's like walking into a Verizon or a T-Mobile with people with tablets in their hands, right? And the philosophy behind that is to deliver better service, So I think this is great, and thank you for your insights, Will. Calvin, you were saying?
Yeah, I agree with what Will's saying because it's really about convenience. The people want convenience. And I like to share from the platform. The thing is, there's no positive customer experience without a positive employee experience. I am all about the employee experience. And if I can create an experience for the employee that's positive, less stressful, easy, I'm going to be in good shape because that's going to put them in a positive attitude to create a positive experience for their guests. Based on this, if they deliver on this software the way it says it's supposed to, the customer is going to be taken care of. Because if that employee feels like, hey, I'm not bogged down with all this stuff, like Will said, standing in front of that computer, that is not going to motivate anybody to be a great guest, customer experience representative. It's just, we use technology as a ball and chain, and that's got to change. It has to be, they have to be able to create relationships with customers, build relationships with people, and you can't do that if you're tied to a keyboard. So I love this idea around creating convenience for the employee, because if you get that right, everything else will fall into place.
100%. I think we might have lost Ken.
You think so?
I think we're just having bad weather here, so we apologize. I'm probably having bad weather, so I apologize. I think we're just going in and out, but I think one of our audience members was stating pretty much to why it's so hard for tech to be embraced or adapted in the industry. I believe, and I will say this over and over, we have been stagnant with technology in the industry. I think everybody that knows me has even told me day in, day out that I've now started to create a technology revolution in the industry. Everything we're doing is all about innovations in technology. I want people to change. I want them to look at technology as not a burden, but as an innovative product that helps our employees and our guests. And to our audience member, I'm on your side. Trust, this is something that I'm going to keep doing, and I'm going to make sure the industry understands it. I think I'm getting that input from the executives of the industry, whether it's brands or hoteliers, and they agree with me after I draw my cases out. So, we're on your side. We're going to get this thing moving to where the people want this in the industry with technology. So unless you guys have anything else to add, we can move forward with this very unique article that I ran across and our team ran across. And I know both of you have seen this as well. It's the no-shows. Now, I want our audience to understand we're not talking about no-shows in hotels. We are talking about no-shows in the restaurant industry.
Wow.
If you haven't heard of a no-show in the restaurant industry, it is pretty much that you decide to take your wife or kids to a restaurant and you get on open table or call the restaurant and make a reservation for tonight, tomorrow night, or the weekend, and you don't show up. And when you don't show up, it's costing that restaurant industry money, and the astounding number that has cost the British hospitality industry is amazing. There were 5,000 British consumers that were surveyed, and close to 17 million pounds were lost in this. And what they say is 1 out of 7 reservations were not honored. And the age group that affected it was a third of the reservations was an age group of 18 to 34. And now they're recommending upfront payments for this. I'll go to you, Calvin. What are your thoughts? Obviously, I know what I'm thinking, but I want to hear.
No, man, I think that is awful. I've always been the one. If I make a reservation, I will let you know I'm not coming. And that's I've just been taught that way because I'm in the industry. So I'm always respectful of that, and I understand that. Wow. You know what? I'm like this. If you have to charge a deposit up front, I'm all for it. Because if the person, you know why they do it? Because there's nothing invested on their side. So it's like if there's no investment in it, it's no big deal. But if you invest and say, you know what, you got to put down what? I don't know, 10%. I don't know what the fee would be. But if there's a no-show fee, it has to be a reasonable one. I bet you that number will drop because you've invested in it. I just think that's just my theory on it. It's tough though. It's really tough because, you might also have a customer say, hey, I'm not paying a fee, and say, I'll go somewhere else and eat. But I just think it sounds like I would love to see if this is the same case in the States. I don't know, but I just think I think a deposit, I think that's the best solution because it's just crazy. Did we lose Ken?
Maybe. It might be lagging a little bit.
I think you just kind of that I'm gonna have to do some research and find out what's going on in the United States of America.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts into this?
Well, I have I won't say unique perspective, but I have a pretty strong opinion on this, and I think the airlines do it right. Vacation rentals, when you book on Airbnb, you're paying up front, and there's a pretty the company can pick the type of cancellation policy. I know that's a kind of a pain in the butt for the consumer, to have that money, being gone early. Let's say you book a month out or 2 months out or however long. But at the end of the day, it's more protection and control for the business, because when you have, specifically an age group in my area, I think I'm considered a millennial. So we have so many options at the instant click of a button that when you're on OpenTable or on Google, I see this happen all the time. I go out with friends in San Diego. They book about 3 places. I don't do this personally, but they book about 3 places, and then whatever reservation is closest to whatever activity we're doing at that time, they pick, and they don't show up to the other ones. I was never taught that way. I'm like Calvin. You book a reservation, you let them know if you're not coming. It's the right thing to do. But you have a generation that really just wants options. They want flexibility. They want to have everything fit up to their schedule and their day. So it's a little bit of a hurdle, but airlines have it right. You book your airline ticket, you pay. So I think kind of like how hotels do the pay now, save less, or not save less, save more deal. Maybe restaurants get creative too. They say if you put your credit card on as a hold for your reservation and you actually show up, we'll give you 10% off a dessert, or we'll do this, or we'll do that. Something creative and fun that makes incentivized not only in the investment of the credit card or debit card being placed on the reservation, but a little bit of a reward for that investment. That a little bit like, hey, you did the right thing. You showed up. You made our staff, be able to keep their jobs by dining at our place. Like there's got to be a give and take for that. But again, who knows? The demand, the consumer demand may not be there. They may say, hey, if a restaurant requires a debit or credit card, I'm not going there because I want to have the flexibility. We all know from COVID, flexibility is key, and that might have a big impact. So that's kind of where I lean on that.
Yeah, no, well said. I think there's a lot of, as you can see, a lot of SaaS companies with how we can streamline things, and I think these reservations definitely. I mean, when you look at OpenTable, I got to be on the restaurant side on this. I think it's time to take payments if you want to make reservations, just to show that you're going to actually come, and that deposit goes onto your bill when you dine in. So, and I think those numbers, if you ask me, those numbers are going to be even worse when we talk about the United States. I think the numbers are even going to be worse than
probably.
I mean, I can tell you, I've done it. So I know those numbers aren't good at all when we look at the restaurant industry. But I just wanted to answer a question that we had from one of our audience members. I believe his name is Nimish. It is. He's saying, when are you coming out with the robot cleaning rooms? Robot cleaning rooms, yes. I mean, the EV robots, yes, they are coming very soon, Nimish. You're going to be hearing some things in the next few weeks. We are also going to be at a live show in Las Vegas as well. So there'll be more news to come. Stay tuned. I just want to take us to our next piece. Guys, I love this piece probably the most out of our show today. I mean, this is exceptional. I will tell you that this university, when they thought of this, I'm like, why aren't the other schools doing this? Why aren't the brands even doing this? Or getting with the university that's doing this, or even hoteliers or anybody. I mean, this is just amazing to me to know that the Colorado Mesa University, I'm sorry, Colorado, if I mispronounce this any way. So they own a hotel. They actually own a hotel on campus called the Hotel Maverick. Okay. They own this hotel that's actually managed by the Charleston Town Hotel Group. And they're training. So they have full-time employees at this hotel. So they're training the next generation employees The full-time employees are training interns. They have 2 6-month internship programs. I mean, they're gearing this up to find our next generation employees. What is your thought, Will? What is your thought on this?
Super smart. Training in general, Calvin, I think you and I talked about this on our podcast together, was
Yep.
you get thrown to the wolves day one. Like it's all
Yep.
right, here's your orientation. Go look at a couple rooms, look at the event center rooms or whatever. Maybe meet some people at the bar that work behind the counter or whatever, and get behind the desk and go. Like you're done. Like you gotta go. And that's a little over exaggerated, but you guys get the point that training is the least paid attention to sector in our space. It's we're so fast paced. There's so much happening on properties, but that training kind of gets missed. It's like you start out really strong on the first 2 days, and then like the third day, your newbie is checking people in with no idea most of the time what they're doing. So this is great. I think more places need to do this. I think the brands definitely need to get to this, where if you are serious about creating a career in hospitality, if you say, you know what, I've been at a front desk supervisor or management position for 3 years, I think I need to step up my game, then whatever brand you're with should send you to a training school where you're getting paid to enhance your skill, your upskill and reskilling of tasks, and things like revenue management and how to actually maximize revenue in a property rather than just checking people into random rooms and not realizing that there's a rhyme and reason on why we put people somewhere else based on room type and availability. So I think this is something that is going to have to happen, but I don't know how the brands would feel about losing employees to pay them to go to school and not actually make money on property. But at the end of the day, if they want longevity, if they want the turnaround rate of employees to go down, invest in training. That's what needs to happen.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, this has been something I've said for such a long time now. Especially when I had, I was doing a speaking session for the Harvard Business School, and ever since then, I've just been like, why aren't we having anything with schools, universities, or any educational stuff where we need a bigger platform? And we need to have it. We're the largest industry in the world. We have hospitality programs almost in every school in the world. So, and we have thousands of hospitality schools in the world. So, I mean, I think we need more exposure with this, and we obviously need to build a bigger platform with this. Calvin?
Yeah, I agree with Will. It's learning and development is one of the biggest things to increase employee engagement, and people want to feel like you're investing in their growth and success. So that's a biggie that you need to do. But I went to the school. I went to Cornell, and so I know about a program like this. They have a hotel on campus. They have a Statler Hotel, and what's cool about going there and because you get to work in a hotel. I've never had worked in a restaurant before, but you get an opportunity to work in a restaurant. You get to work in the back of the kitchen. So I think what they're doing at that university is fantastic because it's nothing better than getting a hands-on experience like that. I support it 100%. I would love to see some other brands do something like that and build a hotel where the people are revolving through there and training them and getting them ready. I think that's just so awesome. I love it. Total in support of that.
It's like the superhero high school movies where they're like, "Hey, you're a superhero now. Go to high school and learn about how to be a superhero."
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I think what's cool about that is when you in that environment like that, you'll realize if you want to be in it or not.
Yeah, 100%.
That's going to tell you right there, hey, this is really something I really want to do, and you're invested in it. So I think it's a great way to build up talent and continue to sustain the industry. I do. L&D all the way,
Awesome.
baby.
Yeah. I lost you guys for a second. I don't know. It's just the weather is horrible here, but um, okay. I mean, that was great. That was great. I mean, I think I'm always like I want to just give my final thoughts on this. Is I've said it for months. I've said it since 2020 that we are only going to resolve this labor issue with our next generation employees. So, I mean, we really need to find a better way on how we're going to get into these universities and schools. So, so the last thing, it's Labor Day weekend. Is this going to be the last time we see the influx of the incline of revenue? Or are we looking at a travel doom or a travel boom? What do you guys think? What do you guys think is going to happen right after Labor Day now?
I could say personally, I think there's going to be a slight lull, but it's our job as operators to really focus on our local destinations and domestic travel. So many times locals are frowned upon to go to their local hotel or restaurant or whatever because we want the international type of traveler because they pay usually a premium rate. But at the end of the day, I think we're gonna have probably a little die down. People are going back to school, hopefully, and families are starting to get in the groove of their normal lives. Again, fingers crossed, hope. But I don't think it's gonna go into a doom. It's still a boom. I think we're still gonna see great numbers. But as operators, if you see a lull, start getting creative. Start focusing on your local destination. How can you get locals to feel like they become ambassadors of you? That's the one thing. My experience was that we failed at the hotel level to promote the 5 blocks around us. So it was all about, hey, international, or out of state traveler. But what can we do to get those locals? How can we get them to become ambassadors? So when their friends and family come out, or someone they meet at a local event, they're going to refer you as the place to be, the go-to. That does matter, and it impacts your business more than you think.
It does.
Those are just my thoughts. How about you, Calvin?
I agree. I call it pragmatic. I'm a pragmatic optimist. So, I'm always looking at the future in a positive way. But I also don't have my head in the sand either. So I'm a realist as well. So, but I do think I want to hope and believe that we are in I don't know about a boom, but I would say a nice explosion, maybe a little explosion. But what I want us to really focus on is continue to focus on creating that positive experience for your guests. And just like that situation with that gentleman in Louisiana, again, you can't control the stuff that's going on around you, but focus on that employee experience. So, because it's going to come back, we got to be consistent and diligent in making sure that we put in the learning and development in place, having a process in places, and making sure that we're instituting technology where we can to make that experience positive for that employee, and that'll take care of that guest. So I just want to encourage everybody out there, just stay optimistic and just keep focusing on taking care of the customer. I always say you're only as good as your customer's last Amazon experience, because at the end of the day, they have set the bar. They have set the bar for what a customer experience should be like. And that's really it's outside of our industry, but you're really competing against that. So the expectations are high. And you just got to be ready to deliver, because people are expecting when they come there. Yeah, we got stuff going on around us, but when they come there, they still want a positive experience when they check in at your hotel. And focus on doing that, and you'll be okay.
Amen.
I agree with that. I mean, it's all about experience, right? I want to kind of add to this topic, because this was obviously an opinion article about the travel boom. And what it said is it felt like you needed certain things, is invest in digital assets, know your customers better, be smart and creative, right? And it clearly said, don't operate in the old ways. Now, I've seen a lot of that, right? Like we've been following the same formulas, we've been following the same ways to do things. And how I operate is I think of more of the innovative way on how to do things. I think of how we're going to operate for the next 2 to 3 years. And do I feel like there's going to be a travel boom? I would love a travel boom. I would love for all my friends, all my colleagues, all my connections to have a travel boom because that means they're going to do well, right? And
Yes.
but here's my thing is I'm a very data driven person. As you guys know that, you guys know me very well. I follow the data, right? I follow the trends. And what it tells me right now is we're going to be in a bad position. And it is going to bring us down somewhere about a 31% decrease in revenue till about December. And that's all going to be due to the Delta variant. It's going to be, and we're seeing that already, right? I just found out Italy just their biggest airline shut down. Italy's biggest airline just shut down. The TSA numbers of screening are down by 30%. I mean, these are the things that are happening right now. Whether you get the vaccine or you don't get the vaccine, that's not my decision to make. That's obviously people's decision to make. I'm not political in any way. But when I see 52% of America is vaccinated, and where I live in Georgia, only 42% are vaccinated, this Delta variant is going to put a damaged hole into it, and it is what's going to happen. But if it doesn't happen, hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But I'm also realistic. I'm also follow the data into what is actually going to happen here. So I think what we need to do here is we need to come together and we need to figure out what's the contingent plan, right? We've already been through the first wave of it. How do we move on the second wave? And when I look at this, the first time we weren't ready because we didn't have enough technology. The second time now we have technology. Let's utilize it. Let's use it. Let's provide the confidence into these guests that we know what we're doing. And if we know what we're doing, we are going to be even better than that 31% decrease in revenue. We should kind of bring it down to about 18% and 17%. So those are my final thoughts. I don't know if you guys had any final thoughts.
I think from me, we haven't seen, at least on the West Coast, a big drop yet, but that could change, and hopefully those are people are ready to get out. They're tired of lockdowns, so hopefully we don't go backwards and we keep moving forward.
I know, and I just want to add to this gentleman, Nemish. Look, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I love to be positive. I'm always positive, as everybody knows me, but you're going to get the real deal from me. I'm not going to sugarcoat it to make it seem like I'm going to give you fake information. I'm going to give you real information, and I want just all of us to be ready for it. So yeah, Calvin, you were saying.
No. I didn't have anything to add. I think that was the same as I was saying. Pragmatic optimism. It is. That's exactly what it is. You want to be optimistic, and you got to look forward, be forward thinking, and think things are right. But you can't keep your head in the sand either. You have to look at things for what they are, and all you can do is best prepare for it the best you can, and focus on those things that you can control, so you can make an impact.
Amen. Yeah, focus on what you
exactly.
can
I mean, we're all we're all here to make an impact. I mean, we all do it all different ways, right? I feel as industry leaders and industry innovators, and I feel like everyone's an innovator, right, in their own way in this industry. So we have to make an impact on how we can prepare certain people for what they do next here. So
Mhm.
thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. I want to thank Circle Quest for being obviously our number one sponsor and being with us from the get-go. This episode is powered by EV Human, and appreciate WIl Slickers for being here. Appreciate Calvin Stovall for being here. The Slick Talk Show every week, the iconic presentations all day long, and we are going to make hospitality great always. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week.
Good seeing you guys. Thanks again, Ken. Great seeing you, Will.
You too, guys. Have a great one.